we are on a different patch to how the VG8 finished, right? And there are maybe a couple of interesting picks. Is there anything, any like aces up sleeves we're expecting to come out over the course of this weekend?
Yeah, I think Batiz could come out potentially as a captain position. We also have Grumpjaw, I think, is very underrated. He's very strong against specific picks, right? So you could see a lot of Grumpjaw coming out. So it's going to be a lot of awesome plays that we might potentially be seeing from Grumpjaw here.
One of the things I'm most excited for is on 2-4. A lot of the stronger heroes at the moment are skill shot based. And so it's always a lot of fun to see when these patches are skill shot focused, because that's when the mechanically gifted players really get this opportunity to shine and can just steamroll games if given the opportunity.
Yeah, and these team fights will all be about outplaying your opponents, not just necessarily drafting the superior composition and just rolling over. It's like if you have those high mechanical skill heroes and you can play it to the utmost degree, you can just outmaneuver your opponents and take those victories that sometimes maybe you shouldn't have been able to take. It's definitely going to be an interesting one, but we already talked earlier about the EU playstyle, and looking towards later on in the day, Bacon, could you explain to me a little bit what the big contrast is between EU and NA's playstyle? Because as far as I understand it, they're quite aggressive.
Yeah, that's the simple answer is North America is just more aggressive than European teams, and it shows a lot in the jungle and captain picks. Especially the jungle, Alpha was a big pick for a little while over in Europe, but it really didn't see a whole lot of play in North America, and it was because Alpha, yes, she's engage heavy, but she took a little bit too long to kind of ramp up for the North American style to really succeed with. And so it was a lot of glaive. Grumpjaw was, prioritized more in North America. Flicker being able to set up engagements and have so much pressure on the lane. These were things that we saw in North America that never really caught on in Europe. And of course, the other big one is the Koshka. I think that's one of the picks I'm going to be keeping an eye on the most to see if that comes through, if that does have a heavy presence here at the Unified Championship.
Yeah, and one of the things that players were saying to us yesterday when we were talking to them was, even when European teams play Koshka, it's a different style of Koshka to what we see in America. It's much more late game focused.
Yeah, and NA, when you play Koshka, you need to win that early game, deny jungle, and just get her such a big golden level lead that she just shuts down and snowballs the entire game. With EU, the invasions are not as often, and they tend to play her as more of a mid-game to late-game hero when she's truly an early-game hero. So it'd be interesting to see if a team picks Koshka, are they going to play to that early-game aggressive win condition that she has?
And just to kind of exemplify that difference a little further, in Europe, Koshka had a 43% win rate. In North America, it was an 82% win rate. So, again, just the difference in play styles for that hero, the early-game focused hero, succeeds in North America.
Yeah, and that's a very dramatically different statistic. So you've got to assume that American style is kind of the superior way of playing Koshka. And that's also going to be a very interesting thing across this weekend is the adaptation of these two regions. Whether Europe has to adapt to this early game style of America or whether it's going to end up being the other way around, whether Europe can kind of bolster down in the early game and America has to meet them in the later stages of the game.
Yeah, and I think in these matchups, it's going to be about disruption and countering. And I think that if you do get a composition that scales in the late game, how are you going to disrupt and shut down the early game so that you can scale into the late game if you're an EU team facing an early game? Yeah, and I think in these matchups, it's going to be about disruption and that's where captains on rotation. And I think that if you do get a composition that scales in the late game, rotations are more aggressive. EU rotations tend to be more defensive. They tend to get a protector contract versus NA, they get the Dragon Blood contract, right? The aggressive contract. So it'll be interesting to see how that's going to pan out.
All right, well, the draft is underway. It's time to get into our first game. Bacon, what are we expecting to come out from these first couple of bans?
It's going to be
that's a big
question,
right?
Because we haven't seen competitive 2.4 just yet. But Samuel going to be focused. That is a target ban against Tyra's. I'm really surprised to see Lyra actually taken off the board, but there's that Lance. Again, I'm not too crazy about Mousesports picking up this Lance just because of their past history with it.
Heavy priority on these captains to start off with.
Yeah, like I said, SK likes that Arden, so they're going to first pick that Arden. I love Mousesports target banning Tyrese and not letting him have his signature hero, Samuel. And I think that makes a lot of sense. And I think banning the Sky is really good because Great Khali has an amazing Sky. So they have done their homework today for sure. and Gwen is being taken away from Kvalifar, which is interesting because Kvalifar actually prefers melee. With Arden, makes a lot of sense here. So he's probably going to pick a melee weapon power carrier, like potentially Blackfeather or Rona here in this matchup.
Yeah.
But I think Blackfeather might make sense for him.
The other thing is, when he did play ranged heroes, it was typically Ringo that he was playing. So Gwen was not a priority pick at all for SK Gaming. So I'm very surprised to see that banned. There's Kavalifar's Blackfeather, most likely, but there is the chance of that still going to Tyra's.
Yeah, but it would definitely fit the style of SK, right? That melee laner going on in. And finally eating into a little bit of bonus time. Those first 6 were very, very just straight away. They obviously knew what the plan was, and then taking a little bit longer to go into these first picks. And you can see the same thing over on the side of Mousebots. Do you expect a melee, a laner to be locked in here for Mouse as well, or do you think they'll look towards jungle?
Yeah, they're probably going to pick their laner first, or they're going to go with Rona. Actually,
Could
Rona
be their laner first still.
Yeah, Rona is good into Blackfeather. She can counter Blackfeather as long as she's even or ahead. Scarf is a great pick because then they're taking it away from Tyrese. And Scarf is really good in the jungle in terms of scaling to that mid-game power spike. And then SK is going to take that CP Kestrel, which is extremely dominant.
And this is a pick that the CP Kestrel, all of the American teams have been saying a lot about it. This is definitely a pick that it's got a lot of hype behind it, right? It's very, very powerful pick, and all the way through until the final pick of the draft as well.
Yeah, I really like the CP Kestrel. It has so much burst potential and can sneak around, but the Scarf is a really good counter to it. So I actually really like what Mousesports did here.
Absolutely. Well, it's finally time to get on into our first game, sink our teeth into some Vainglory action, and we have none other than Dowsy and Forecourt Jester to guide us through the rift.
Thank you very much, Munchables. We're here at the Unified Western Live Championships. Time to kick things off Forecourt with SK Gaming versus Mousesports.
It's going to be a heck of a game on this first set. You know, SK perhaps playing a little angry. That was what was mentioned. But when we talked to these guys, they said they got past it. They learned from it. But 33 health, man, that's got to sting.
Man, this is what we're all playing for. That trophy on the stage will be lifted on Sunday. But first, we have to kick the proceedings off. Game 1 of SK versus Mousesports coming right up. And, you know, for SK, as you mentioned, it's redemption from that G2 moment at the end of Split. For Mouse, they are here and they are not really feeling the pressure because for them, it's all to win, nothing to lose.
Yeah, if they don't make it through, it's not like it's going to be really huge ramifications for these guys, but they have that spot. They have a chance to show off. This is a really good opportunity for them to strut their stuff.
Well, let's jump on to the Halcyon Fold. Game 1 of the Unified Western Live Championship, SK versus Mouse.
All right, so SK Gaming coming in. Historically, this is the team that's going to be favored. You heard a lot there from the analysts that these guys are, you know, it's everything to lose.
With aggression as Amir King comes up very close. Kvalifar going to push on in and an early pause coming on through. So as we look to make sure everything is right for Forecourt, let's just talk about some of these opening picks here. Jetpacks is usually the person to watch for. SK Gaming's captain loves his unusual starts. Nothing too unusual. Going to pick up that protector contract to make sure that if an invade happens or if any early aggression happens, he are going to be nice and safe.
Well, Tyra's by himself in that jungle. If he gets jumped on, it's going to be rather rough because you're going to be expecting to see a CP Kestrel this round. And early on, well, throughout the game, if she gets jumped, there's very little that she can do until she becomes really overpowered into the late game. So until then, if you do have that protector contract, and we have that Arden on top of it, it's shields upon shields. That can go a long way to buffering the damage out of your opponents, and then you have a really good opportunity to return fire.
No, certainly, absolutely. You know, let's talk about some of the people on the stage here who's their first event. Tyra's.
Yep.
You know, many have been putting him as their favorite for Rookie of the Split. If there were to be such an award, that's who they would be wanting to give it to. Fateless, though, this is his first event as well.
Yeah, it's first time jitters for both sides, but they have a lot of confidence in their team, a lot of trust.
Certainly do. So we are jumping back onto the Halcyon Fold to get this game started. Everything ready to go, and the team's certainly feeling it. Scarf on Great Khali heading into the lane. Was thinking that was most likely going to be a jungle pick.
Yeah, when we did talk to these guys, there was definitely some comforts mentioned. Scarf was there, but we did actually assume it was that jungle, as you did say. So that's all right. Khali, he's still good on it.
Wow, okay. Tyrus is rooted by the Elder Treant, but Mouse didn't have vision. He's going to be getting away with it, but now he's got rooted up. It looks like Mouse are moving on in, and first blood of the Unified Western Live Championship goes to Mouse.
They try to kill, but they get a Treant, the Ancient Treant to boot for it there. So, but Mouse, aggressive rotations, right? SK perhaps just a little caught unaware on that one. Emmer King is now just seeing that jetpacks can't come down, can't disrupt that farm that Rona's going to be picking up, and that leaves just kind of a split team here from SK.
Yeah, Fateless looking to try and steal away as much as possible. Looks like Tyrus is getting in position to make sure that cannot happen, but Tyrus going to get rooted up. This is Mouse looking to be very aggressive onto SK. Glitter shots raining down. Tyrus looking to turn the fight, and Jetpacks, well, he only has his Vanguard available. It means that the movement speed is there, but the chase is not for SK.
Yeah, but Gavel doing great in their lane. He did not come down for the rotate, did not complete the trap, but you saw the difference, right? With Arden there versus not, it can just be a total 180 as Tyrus gets those glimmer shots off.
Yeah, very aggressive moves coming out of SK as they come in, steal away that Elder Treant. Not going to find the kill. Mouse grouping up as 3 to make sure nothing happens. That is a root onto Tyrus. Great Giffian War. Kavalafar coming around the side. Fateless very low, but so is Jetpacks. Tyrus going to lay down the damage, and he picks up the kill onto Great Kali as well. Fateless over the wall. He will be safe, and Amir King making sure he gets as far away from trouble as possible.
Yeah, not really going to be really any kind of ace at this round, but even just forcing Fateless to go back and then hit the back button from there. Emmer King, yes, he will be able to go cross the fold. He will be able to pick up this farm, but it's that grouping of 3. This is a lot of lost potential here for Mouse early on.
That's a big steal by Emmer King. He's not going to get spotted here, I do not think, by Tyrus.
Nah, they got to know.
Unless Tyrus throws a cheeky glimmer shot. No, he gets away with it. So a nice little steal, gets a bit of gold back. If you look at it on your screen, SK Gaming currently pulling ahead by about 400 gold as far as things are concerned. Not a huge lead to begin things off, but you really don't want to be giving any lead to SK. And look at Tyrus just into the lane, throwing out those glimmer shots, actually being blocked up by the wave there. So Great Kali kind of getting away with no damage.
And it doesn't find any kind of opportunity on top of Great Kali, but again, like a lot of the money is going over to SK. Just that wave itself farmed up did well.
Okay, Kali in a bit of trouble. That Impale will not save his life, and that's going to be Kavalafar taking the kill away. No respect shown to SK's aggressive moves.
Well, it's actually a little bit more of a counter to that, right? First blood, Mouse, they collapsed in. SK saying, okay, well, that's enough of that.
Going to be an Impale. Kavalafar deciding that he's going to go head-to-toe with Fateless, but here comes Jetpacks. Vanguards him out to safety, and that Protector contract on Jetpacks can be so crucial. If Tyrus was to get jumped on top of as this Kestrel, a shield can be placed on top of him. Same for Kavalafar. This Black Feather, of course, has his on point to generate his own shielding, but more shielding just makes it so much more difficult for Mouse to deal with.
And once he gets into that level 6, he's going to be a heck of a lot more mobile at this point as well. We'll have to see what Great Kali can really generate in terms of positioning here, but Emmer King is really going to have to be on point for those defenses as well. Right into the wall. That is going to be a key move for Emmer King to keep Kavalafar off of Great Kali later on.
But SK roaming up into the lane. Tyra is going to show his face, go and Viz, but does take a bit of a damage for the Fire Spit comes out. Amir King pops his boots, will be able to get to safety as the group starts burning SK alive. They're sitting in it just trying to make a Great Kali dance for his life. A dance he's doing. He's dodging out those glimmer shots. Fateless coming into the lane here may force SK back.
I would actually expect SK to kind of stay the course on this one. They have a fountain advantage. They have that self-healing on K-Val. They can really just force Mouse up here because Emmer King's not had the opportunity to go get that fountain.
One shot doesn't connect. That will be Great Kali. Once more dodging away from these skill shots. Kind of struggling on this Scarf as far as energy is concerned, but a big power spike purchase, Shatterglass for Great Kali.
Now, what Tasty Bacon said a little bit earlier on was that skill shot champions, skill shot heroes these days are actually packing quite a punch, and that's no different here for Scarf. But if he misses with that Shatterglass empowered Spitfires, that's a lot of just lost opportunity right there.
Normally on a Scarf, first item will see a Frostburn, so that you can have the slows, especially against a Black Feather who's going to want to stay on top of your face. You can see Kavalafar diving in to make sure he gains all the CS and not only puts the damage on, but wow, one of those Dragon Spits connects, and that's a lot of damage traded. Tyra's in lane, glimmer shots flying.
Ooh, close.
That is Great Kali getting the heal from the fountain, but it's not done yet. One shot up in just a second, and I'm sure it's going to come out from afar. K-Val taking a bit of damage, but here we go. It does look like SK wanted to turn things. Great Kali, the target as the Glimmer shots fly his way, but not connecting onto the Scarf.
Fountains used on both sides, just already going to come down to Arden, that Protector contract. Past that, K-Val, he needs that level 6. He's going to be definitely a little bit more mobile at that point, but Great Kali, every time he catches him, he brings K-Val down half. That's going to seal a lot of that aggression, but he can just heal it right back up, and there's not really a lot of follow-up here from Kali at this point either.
Wow, look at that. One Glimmer shot connects, and that is Great Kali down so much as far as health is concerned. It's about a quarter of his health. Yeah, 4 Glimmer shots is practically what Tyraz needs to take the life of Great Kali. It does look Great Kali will go back here, so the defense now in this siege scenario is going to be difficult for Mouse to deal with.
Well, this is becoming a problem for those last hits on top of things. Just going home every few minutes here from Mouse has put them behind.
SK going to back off, not wanting to stick around. Great Kali comes back into the lane, has himself upgraded boots for that mobility, which is kind of the crucial thing for Scarf. He needs to be able to dance around the team fight, avoid K-Val, and kind of the stickiness that is Black Feather.
Now, when it comes to the items, we're looking at about 1,000 difference between the teams, but that has translated into Fateless still looking for that tier 3. K-Val, he has his. Great Kali and Tyraz, both of those crystals, they've actually gotten to that situation, but Tyraz and the Frostburn paired up here with K-Val, like the chasing potential is absolutely real here from SK, and we don't really have a ton really to counter that. It's up to Emmerking to do a lot of this peel. Fateless did just pick up that mask now, but we have infusions on deck here, and SK is just going to, again, keep that power spike in their favor if it does come to another fight.
Here comes Tyraz, nice and close and personal. 1, 2, 3 Glimmer shots, and that's going to be another kill going over to Tyraz. Nothing that Great Kali can do when Tyraz is allowed to sneak into the lane like that.
And you get slowed up, you're going to get hit by these skill shots, like hands down. Tyraz didn't even pop that infusion for that.
That's going to be the turret now focused down. The siege potential that Kestrel brings is so huge. That turret does not stand a chance, and now Fateless has to be careful that he doesn't get aggressed on. Without the turret for SK to worry about, the ability for them to now dive very deep onto this very squishy Mouse Sports is fairly easy.
All right, so that's going to be a big major objective going over to SK. Not only is it the cash, but it's also that pressure, right? Any type of fight closer to the middle of the fold here, that's a longer retreat point for these guys. And again, with the chase ability here from SK, Arden's going to be speeding you up. K-Val's going to be barrel rolling forward. Tyraz has his active camo. We're probably going to be looking for those treads here soon enough. Jetpacks is into his 2 items, and he has that Crucible ready to go. So past that, yeah, you're going to have really just a long time here from SK to really apply pressure, and to really, if they do want to chase down Great Kali, if they want to chase down Emmerking, might be a little bit harder with his ability to roll through walls, but the pressure is absolutely all with SK right now.
Kvalifar finishing his 2nd item here. It's that Poison Shiv. Serpent's Mask Poison Shiv means there's a lot of sustain for Kvalifar. You can see him right now just tanking up this this gold mine. I'm going to go easily over to SK. Mouse a little bit late. Oh, that was a great active camo trap. Means that there's a lot for Amir King to think about as he goes back to the base. Another kill going to SK.
Yeah, 15-second timeout as he will take his time to come back. All right, Tyraz finds the possible back there, does disrupt it, but SK, you can see, right, there was nowhere for Amir King to run right there. He was too far forward, and now we're just pushing up. It's going to be that 2v3 advantage just for a few seconds longer, but if Kali gets hit by his Frostburn, K-Val gets right up into him right there. I mean, this is a lot of burst potential here from SK, and we have no peel available from Mouse Sports right now.
Yeah, no peel at all. Amir King will provide some, but he needs to get tanky if he's going to really be able to deal with it. That Glimmer shot just eating through Mouse as they attempt to clear the wave. Clear the wave they do, but SK, they're just so far ahead. 4,000 gold at 10 minutes, and 4 kills. It's been Tyraz, the story. Look at that damage onto the Scarf. Great Kali pops the boots. Will be able to get to safety behind his turret. Means he avoids potential one-shots, but he has to be careful. The dive potential is there. Gauntlet on jetpacks. Kvalifar can continue the dive. Good Impaler will root Kvalifar down. Takes a bit of damage in the process from the goop. Tyra is also low on energy. Cuts the one-shot, but doesn't quite connect with Great Kali.
Okay, game of inches on that one. Tyra is perhaps thinking that I for sure thought that was going to hit right there. And Emmerking still at that fountain. That was going to be a big problem for these team fights. But all right, he's back. Now we're going to have, again, this 3-man. But the sieging potential, SK is just outclassing at this point.
Certainly are. They're using their power, and that's a lot of damage down onto Fateless. Gauntlet Wars go down. That's going to be everyone trapped up, and only one more to cake. SK looking for an ace at 11 minutes, and they will have it.
Jetpack's low-key in with the gauntlet. What kind of reflex capability do we got? Nothing. And as everyone drops, it's going to be another turret on top of things. And just SK, right, very much favored into this one. They're feeling real good here into day one. Might not be into the top 2 seeding position, but they are still here to win. And SK have really brought us, 7,000 gold in 11 minutes. That's a really good way to start their weekend off.
Certainly are. Going to take away the first life of that Crystal Sentry as well, just making the end game potential for SK even easier. 2 more kills onto that Crystal Sentry, and he is eliminated for the entirety of this match.
Okay, so Great Kali. Are we going to be looking into reflex? Probably not, but Emmer King at the same time, he has no Aegis even begun at this point.
Yeah, no, and that's a big
Crucible
problem.
even.
If they get caught up in that gauntlet, as you're pointing out, that's a lot of potential for Kvalifar and Tyrus just to rip on through. Amir King there, he's meant to be the one who can kind of take the barrage of glimmer shots and on-point damage from K-Val, but currently he is struggling to really hold that front line together.
Now, remember talking about chaseability? Well, look at K-Val. Tier 3 boots on top of an Aegis. He's sitting on 4 Tier 3 items. If you look at Fateless, who's trying to be that melee counter part at this point, he's sitting on 2. He's sitting on those Tier 2 boots. He does have a reflex, so at least Fateless is not going to be powerless when it comes to some of those crowd controls. But it's just unfortunate positioning for these guys. Like Mousesports, they had that first blood. They had some really nice invade early on, but unfortunately from there, SK Gaming, they just got they brought the band together, and they are just making some fantastic music.
10 minutes ago, at 10 minutes, 2 minutes ago, I was saying that
Yeah.
SK Gaming had a 4,000 gold lead. Now 2 minutes on, they have an 8,000 gold lead.
Going up and up.
Amount they've managed to double that. Gauntlet going to go out. Stuns up to Fateless. He's meant to be able to take that damage, but unless he's on a target, he cannot sustain. One shot flies out straight into the turret. Really not going to be the target that Tyrus was looking for. Mouse avoiding death for now, but this turret is going to take a beating as Kvalifar dives forward. Amir King looking to try and be the front line. That's going to be an impale, not quite connecting onto Tyrus, but Mouse, they're certainly looking for the fight. Gook flies out. Great Kali positioning. K-Val dropping low, gets a bit of a shield for himself, but an impale lands onto Tyrus, as does the Dragon Spit. Now we're looking to see if that fountain's enough, as Tyrus does have to fall back. Kvalifar diving in. First kill goes his way. Second kill goes to Tyrus with the long-range stun, the snipe, and that will be an ace coming through for SK Gaming.
You might have thought, all right, Tyrus, he's down low. We can make this happen. Gauntlet is down, right? No, not even a little bit. SK are really able to even poke back, get that better trade, and K-Val just lunging forward. These guys are slick. They are avoiding a lot of the skill shots coming out from Mousesports.
And SK at 14 minutes are looking to just finish things off right now, Forecourt. They are not going to leave Mousesports in a dark pit. They're going to put them out of their miseries. The Vein Crystal starting to drop. K-Val dropping as well. But SK Gaming look like they should have this, and they do. Game 1 of our first best of 5 series goes to SK Gaming.
Yeah, no 33 hit point finish on this one, Dowsy. That is just going to be a complete victory from SK. First blood, sure, might have went over to Mouse, but that is really going to be the crowning achievement of that game for Mouse.
Yeah, no, certainly. They were able to get first blood of the tournament, but unfortunately for them, the follow-up of it wasn't quite there. And look at SK, this is just another job at the office for them. They're feeling very comfortable about their win, feeling very good about their win, but they know that it's a best of 5, and that's a long road.
Mousesports was very happy to be talking to us about Arden yesterday. Didn't really come up there with SK, but they take it away, and look what happens.
Well, let's throw it back over to our analyst desk to break down that first game. Over to you, Munch.
Thank you very much, guys, and convincing victory there for SK. I do briefly want to touch on the fact that Mouse, right at the start of the game, they did get first blood. They kind of took the ball by the horns, but once SK got control, they didn't let go.
Yeah, it was just really dominant. Shortly after that first blood, Mousesports, they tried to go for a second kill, maybe overstayed their welcome a bit as they tried to retreat. They were just chased down by SK, and from there, it just never seemed to swing any sort of momentum back towards Mousesports. Lane dominance by Kvalifar. Look at the difference in CS that you can see on your screen. 143 to 96 over the course of this game. That was just a massive lead that Mousesports was not able to overcome.
Yeah, and also just such a high damage composition from SK as well. The second anyone got caught out, we saw it a couple of times where we'd see Great Khali just ever so slightly out of position, instantly his health bar would drop.
Yeah, Tyrese played that CP Kestrel so well when he was able to get that kill on Scarf in the 7-minute mark, sneaking up in the top bush and then just blowing Scarf up. And because of that, they then take the first turret and then they get the gold mine, and it gives them a significant gold lead on top of the CS lead. At that point, Kavalifar was 20 CS ahead of Great Khali in lane.
Yeah, and it started to get to a point where the snowball was rolling a little bit, and it was like, I'm not sure there's much of a way to get back into this one. So do we think going into the second game now, Mouse have to change things up in the draft, or is it something in-game that they need to change?
Yeah, like I said, Mouse Sports needs to play their composition, execute it confidently. Lance would go in and get these roots, but there's no follow-up with a Goop, then a Rona, jump in, ultimate, Spitfire. There was a lot of missed opportunities that Mouse Sports could have taken advantage of as if they just played with that synergy.
Yeah, and some of those advantages, one of them was very early on. The first kill that SK did pick up, there was a really nice Goop that got put down onto both Tyra's and Jetpacks, but then the Spitfire didn't come out until Tyra's was already off the Goop. And then later on in the game, around the 13, 14-minute mark, there was a big team fight where it looked like Mouse Sports may have been able to turn around, but Great Khali was level 10, did not have a single point in the Dragon's Breath ultimate, and we both looked at it and were like, if an ultimate comes out here, they win that fight.
Yeah, because CP Kestrel has no defense, and that's how most CP Kestrels play. So the Dragon Breath not only slows if you have it on the Kestrel, but it will review her because she's constantly taking tick damage from the Dragon's Breath. So I feel like that could have been a strategy Mouse Sports could have used, because their win condition was to eliminate that CP Kestrel. SK's composition, they want you to focus at Blackfeather. He has Shiver Steel, he has Serpent's Mask and Poison Shift, so he's a high sustain with the Bear from Arden. They want you to focus the Blackfeather so CP Kestrel can do what she wants on the back line.
He can just sit on the back line, basically playing Legolas and just hailing arrows on into that fight. And we saw the sheer damage that can come out if you can get into that position. And we'll see whether these picks are going to be allowed in the second draft. Do we expect bans to change coming out here from Mouse? Are we going to see like something like the Black Feather banned away in this one?
I don't know if you can, because Blackfeather, yeah, it was strong here, but I would say it's still far from being Kvalifar's strongest pick. You still have to focus. You have to take that Lyra off the board. You can't really allow that to get through. Now that you're on B side especially, that's a great first pick for SK on the A side. So I expect them to have to ban away the Lyra. They probably don't want to let the Samuel go through. Like, there's just too many picks that you want to take away from SK.
And I do just want to touch on something we mentioned earlier as well. SK, every time they've been on camera, they've been oozing with confidence, straight up game faces on. And we saw that in the game as well. We saw that with their positioning. Around, I can't remember exactly how long, I think it was around like the 10-minute mark. There was a team fight where SK were just like, come on, you want to fight us. Oh no, we're out of position. And just like baiting Mouse it.
Yeah, that was a critical fight, and that led to the loss of their second turret, and then it led to a 7K gold lead. And Mouse Sports should not have engaged past that second turret. And I felt like that was a mistake that they made, and SK completely took advantage of it.
Yeah, and SK set them up to make that mistake. But we are into draft, and Baron going to be the first ban coming out here. What are we expecting from Mouse Sports to reply?
Yeah, Mouse Sports will probably ban away Lance, Lyra, or Arden here, I feel.
I would expect Lyra. It's the highest win rate for Jetpacks, and it's such a strong first pick that if they don't ban the Lyra here, I think that's just a big mistake.
Yeah.
Already ticking into bonus time, though. This isn't what we saw in the first draft. We saw them just rattling through to start with.
I think SK here, they're going to go with Adagio on the pick. It's a very great flex pick because you can carry it, you can support it. There's so many combinations that work with Adagio. So it's a great pick from SK, and they can just now respond to what Mouse Sports will pick here.
SK has even run it in the jungle before. We have seen Tyrus on this hero, so
Tyrus loves it.
They could flex this to any of the 3 roles.
Yeah, so very solid pick up there. Just as you rightly say, an open flex pick. But now Mouse, again, biting into that bonus time. I think they're a little bit unsure off the back of that game. I think it might have knocked them slightly.
Yeah, I think I would take Lance here and ban Arden, or take Arden and then ban Lance, and deny that Arden, that Adagio Lance composition. Arden is a great pick here. He's one of the top picked supports for EU because he offers that barrier and that protector contract style of play that we see in EU a lot. So I think here they're probably going to ban Blackfeather or melee hero that they don't want to Kavalar to be on, empowered by a support Adagio or Captain Adagio, for example, here.
Yeah, I also like the Arden pick. I said it before the series started. They need to focus on trying to, get Jetpack a little uncomfortable. By taking Lyra and Arden off the board, this very likely forces that Adagio down into the captain position, and it kind of gives you a little bit of a better idea of what's going to come out from SK.
Absolutely. And Samuel, not necessarily the ban we were expecting. They're not going to fit that melee role, but Sky going to be banned out once again.
Yeah, see, they're banning Sky because they want to play BF. I think Mousesports here needs to take either Kestrel here, or if they play the Black Feather, they should take the Black Feather with Arden, because that is a combination that is very strong that we saw in the early game. So Mouseport needs to take either Kestrel or Black Feather here if they want to have a good, because Kestrel is a good flex pick. She can be flexed to weapon or CP based on what SK is going to pick. And weapon Kestrel is actually decent into Black Feather if SK decides to pick the Black Feather into a Kestrel.
It's going to be using a lot of their bonus time here thinking about this pick, but it is going to be that Black Feather, as Suijay suggested.
So we're starting to see that Mouse are actually replicating the composition that SK had in that first game.
And I think SK here is going to probably play to Rona, because Rona is actually good against Black Feather, or definitely the way Kavalfar plays it. And I feel like they're going to round it out with Kestrel, potentially because CP Kestrel is just so strong in jungle. She has a fast clear, fast rotation, and as you can see from last game, she puts so much pressure in lane. So I feel like they'll probably end up with a Rona and a CP Kestrel pick here, and Mousesports will need to respond. Oh, Petal comes out.
So where are we going with this? What is the Petal going to bring that we didn't see last game?
A lot of slows. It's all about the slow. You get the Frostburn on the Petal. It's just to slow targets up so that Rona can sit on them with a red mist. She self-slows herself when she uses that, so having the slows coming out from Petal and potentially Adagio means that she's going to be able to stick to targets extremely well, and I'm nervous for Mousesports here because of this competition.
However,
this
they
is
can
an
pick
SK
CP Kestrel is actually good into Petal, but they're not going to go with the CP Kestrel, so they're going to go with the Ringo. I assume that's going to be a lane Ringo with a CP Black Feather. Which is okay, but he's weak against Petal early. He needs to get that level 8 power spike to be able to start doing something against SK's comp here.
So the compositions are now locked in, and those last two picks definitely not quite what we were expecting coming on into this one. A little bit of a different angle from these two teams, and we'll see whether Mouse can come back into this series and tie things up, or whether SK are going to start to lead things a little bit more strongly. That's not a phrase. But we're going to pass it over to two guys that are very good at phrases. It's Dowsy and Forecourt Jester.
Thank you very much, Munchables. At the end of that game, Forecourt, I was saying how for SK, it just looked like another day at the office. Well, fun fact for those who don't know, Mouse and SK actually share offices in Germany, and they kind of have that friendly rivalry going between them as well. So I'm sure, as far as this series is concerned, it is just another day at the office, but it's office pranks as well.
Well, SK definitely getting the upper hand on that one. It's who knows what kind of pranks they actually pull on each other. I know I keep a Nerf gun in the back of my computer case.
Okay.
But when it comes down to this, this is now here to win. No pranks, no nothing. But Mousesports, they pick up that Arden, they take away the Black Feather. We'll have to see if they have success with it, though.
Certainly, it's very interesting just looking at that composition that SK drafted Forecourt, because in 2.0 we've seen kind of the fall of double sustain as far as Lyra and Adagio being picked into a composition is concerned. Well, currently we've got triple sustain. Adagio, Rona, and Petal for SK Gaming. I'm really excited to see how that one pans out as we jump back onto the fold for Game 2 of this series.
Now, we did also talk a little bit about momentum, a little bit about if you get behind the 8-ball there, could you actually just kind of right out of the tournament, kind of 1-0 turn into a 2-0, into a 3-0, because nobody wants to go home on a 3-0.
What is this? SK Gaming, the aggressive move straight on in. Amir King has gone straight over to the backs to try and maybe steal some away, but what he does not know is SK Gaming are coming straight on home to look for this Arden. I think for Amir King, he can steal away at least one of these doubles, but there's no way he can look to steal both of them, so he's going to have to be very... Oh, he might be able to actually, because SK Gaming, instead of going straight home to their backs, they went Treant. Yeah.
But they're not going to see Emmer King up in lane. In fact, I'm not entirely too sure that the Black Feather's shown himself there either. But they are trying to just split their gold options at this point, right? This is a really nice way to counter if you think that there's a 3-man aggression coming in, and you got that Rona, you got that Petal. That is really something hard to deal with to a comp that has no escapes. Black Feather's not going to go anywhere early on. Neither is that Ringo.
Certainly. So Ringo, a hero in 2.4 that we haven't seen too much of. Kind of fell out of favor, but look at this. Cavalifar going deep. That's a lot of damage, and the fire burning away. Fateless still in lane on this Black Fair. We're going to chuck out one of those on points just to, just for the love tap more than anything. Tyra's, he's looming. Tyra's, he loves his ranged CP junglers, and Petal is one that he's played so many times during the regular split.
And when we were actually at the end of that draft, you're like, so who's the CP here for Mouse Sports? Is it going to be a double? Are they going to split? It will be Fateless into a bit more of that Crystal Blackfeather this round, but he's getting bullied out pretty hard early here.
Yeah, it's going to be his doubles stolen away. Did manage to secure his back healing camp, and you can see that once more it is Amir King headed on over to steal away the doubles of his own. So at least for Mouse, they're stealing away and kind of keeping the gold even. But it's not Amir King you want the gold to be on, it's Fateless you want the gold to be on.
It's still gold going to the team though. It might not be on who you want it to, but it's not like SK is double dipping, right?
Yeah, no, certainly, but look at the CS differences, just on Mouse Sports in general. For Fateless 6 CS, for Amir King 7 CS, that is usually unseen as far as captain and jungler on the same team is concerned.
But Mouse Sports realizes that they're just not going to be able to do anything about this early on. Like, between the Munions and Jetpack's there by himself. Like, this is just straight out bully. So Fateless is getting what he can. He goes up to lane, he gets that soak, and Ember King, if he gets those backs, again, you are robbing SK, but it's just the best of a bad situation.
Mouse finally reacting to this invade, sending Great Khali down from lane, but Cavalifar's going to meet him halfway and dive straight on forward. Amir King in trouble. Tyrus can trampoline over and over, and he goes straight on for it. First blood goes over to Cavalifar.
SK with a nice early game bullying comp. Fateless did not even attempt that fight. Just pieced, made sure he picked up those jungle, and now he's going to be actually heading back and coming back here in a few. But it just, unfortunately, is not a comp from Mouse Sports here that's going to be able to deal with this early on. That's why we have been seeing Ember King just kind of going across the fold, trying to get what they can, because they realize that this early is going to be real painful for them.
It certainly is. 1,000 gold early lead here for SK Gaming, purely through a bit of that CS they're stealing away. Cavalifar, though, getting dived on top. A lot of damage, but he is able to jump away to safety. In fact, may even stay in lane. Has Book of Eulogies, Jetpacks has that Protector contract, and Tyras and Jetpacks continuously just putting the aggression on, which means that Mouse Sports can't actually deal with the lane because they are at risk of losing all of their jungle gold.
And there's really no reason for Rona to go anywhere. Like, with those people up in lane, that's going to push, so doesn't actually even have to leave.
Mouse roaming down to the jungle to purchase some stuff up. Not really many like massive purchases coming out. Amir King pops his boots. He's in trouble. Tyrus is chasing him on down. Crystal Sentry is here. 4-minute mark means it has spawned. But SK, well, they're deciding they want to just take this away. Jetpack's going to grab the aggro. And there's nothing Mouse Sports are doing about this. First Crystal Sentry, 4.5 minutes for SK.
I'm rather surprised that the trap there in the bush is actually still going to be ticking. But giving over that Crystal Sentry this early on, right, that's actually one of the bigger tools here for Mouse to have something of a safer jungle. But losing out that life so quickly is not a good sign for Mouse, I'll tell you that.
Certainly not, especially as it's Fateless, the one being bullied on the side of Mouse. That is kind of his only tool to use to survive in the jungle if Jetpacks and Tyras come a-knocking. So taking those lives away and making sure that when the fights start to happen, the big 3-man fights around the back of that jungle happen, if SK can remove that Crystal Sentry very early on, then Mouse kind of lose one of their comeback tools.
All right, so Great Khali is actually keeping up with the last hits this round, does pick up the Sorrow, as Fateless just cut and chunked out, man.
But Tyra is continuously diving forward. That's the Frost CP Petal, and she is going to be making sure that if Maus get into an engagement, there's no running away.
Yeah, and this is just, again, piling on the bulliness right there. That Frostburn can pay out in spades. It sets up for Cavalifar, it sets up for Jetpacks to catch up, and they're even just going to be sieging right here.
Yeah, Maus completely out of position as far as rotations are concerned, and SK Gaming looking to abuse that in its entirety. This turret down to just a sliver of health, and SK, they know that the next time Maus are slightly far out, that turret's dead.
So Jetpacks didn't have like a straight 4-minute fountain this time, but even going into the 5-minute, like Ember King had to go home to pick up his at the 6-minute mark. So that's why this push was able to just do so well.
Cavalifar coming into the lane. Amir King can use that Vanguard to safety, but SK just putting the pressure back onto Mouse. They may even look to sit here in lane in a 3v3 scenario to really try and put the pressure on Mouse, make sure they're not farming. Instead, what they're going to do is send Tyros back to the jungle so he can keep up in gold. He's got 30 last hits to the 23 of Fateless.
He has kept himself rather far ahead. The 7 last hits of Emmer King haven't gone anywhere lately, and again, that's kind of what you do want to be put in there. He's even going to be trying to freeze out this lane, but K-Val's not going to be having any of that. There's still a power difference here, right? K-Val is looking real strong there in the lane, is actually still leading on top of Great Khali despite that Sorrow Blade, but Fateless, like without that completed Crystal Tier 3, he's not really contributing much here.
Minion wave being taken down by Mouse, so trying to avoid any scenario of a turret siege
Chip away.
here.
Wow.
Chip away, like water in a river, just that stone will eventually disappear, and that's kind of the story of this first turret.
Okay, Fateless is making that rotation, did get himself a little bit of farm. He is level 6, it's huge for him, but with the siege now coming in, it's probably curtains for this turret.
Yeah, that's going to be a Hellfire Brew flying out.
Oh,
Hits
and
a minion. That is not what you want. Kavalifar going to dive forward. That is the first turret going down. And Adagio comes through, but Fateless gets completely destroyed. And he will be just thinking about that alternating current that he hasn't yet completed at this 7.5 minute mark.
Yeah, it's still a little bit of a wish away, but Jetpacks, I got to give him a huge credit for that Versus Judgment right there. They knew that this turret was going to be that mark. Oh, it's not even going to be an alternating current. No, we're just going to go for those big bad hits right there. So Fateless, if he, just like last round with this Scarf on that Shatterglass, if you hit the skill shots, it's fantastic, but when you miss it, you're really throwing a lot of power away.
Yeah, no, and Jetpack's able to use that Versus Judgment, like you mentioned, as a zoning tool. Makes things so difficult for Mouse Sports because they've got this kind of composition where Ringo, he's going to be doing whatever damage he can, skirting around the backline,
from
firing
afar,
as much as he can, but it's likely not going to be onto prime targets. Whereas Fateless and Amir King on the Arden and the Black Pepper, they're going to be wanting to be right up there and personal, getting dirty in the action. And so when Jetpacks puts that Versus Judgment out, it forces Great Khali to move backwards, and all of a sudden a 3 versus 3 becomes a 3 versus 2.
Yep, and even if it's not a zoning tool and they're caught in it, it's now a killing tool, and that's exactly what happened on that one. So it's real good for SK. Their lead 3K or so, and that's going to be second item here for Jetpacks on top of things. So Protector, we got that Fountain, the Aegis ready to go. I mean, all you need from here is treads, and you're pretty much set for this early game.
Yeah, the Gauntlet's going to have almost no effect if that Crucible is used to its extent. That's the second Crystal Sentry losing its life. It's just every 4 minutes going down. Kavalifar dying forward. He has Sorrow Blade on this Rona, and the red mist. It is certainly making Mouse see red. They're going to continue stealing away these jungle camps. SK here as they put the pressure on. Fateless in trouble. Going to have to use that Rosa defensively.
Yeah, the Rose defensive on that one, but into the fray, out of the fray, it's still just huge pressure and map dominance. SK just continuously, like a machine, they get those advantages, they push up. More advantage, push up. It's one turret down now, but they're gearing up for another big push, and with